Hello and welcome back to another episode of Connemara coming out of quarantine kitchen. It's a beautiful day in the west of Ireland and I'm standing in the middle of a bog. But this is not just any bog. This is Derrygimla Bog. Now Derrygimla Bog, 101 years ago, at the end of the last pandemic, was the landing place of the first ever transatlantic flight. Amazingly, this small piece of immaculate wetland just south of Clifton was already world famous, as this is where Marconi set up his transatlantic radio station. It was the centre of world global telecommunications. This brings me on to the reason why I'm here. This week we're having a transatlantic episode, as my friend Carl, or Hottie as he's known, has requested something Mexican. Now, living in LA, and obviously there's not enough Mexican influence in California, he's asked me to do it from Connemara. So this week, we're having chicken fajitas. So let's fly back to the kitchen and get cooking. When I was in Mexico City, one of the things I absolutely loved was that in any bar or restaurant, when you sat down, before you ordered, there were three things that would arrive. Limes, chilies, salt. You can't really juggle salt, but you get what I mean, okay? Now, all of these things will feature heavily in today's recipes, but first, we're gonna need some sort of pot or pan, a frying pan or a skillet. I've got a skillet here, some bowls, a masher, a juicer, and our chopping board and knife. That's it. Okay, so for our fajitas today, we're going to make a spice mix for our chicken. We're going to make a salsa, pico de gallo, guacamole, refried beans, and all from scratch, using basic ingredients. No old El Paso here. The spice mixture contains 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of paprika, 1 teaspoon of cumin powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of salt. Added to this, we will get the juice of 2 limes and add them all to 2 chicken thighs, which I have chopped up into bite-sized pieces. Remember to roll your limes, get all the juice. Actually, that was a pretty juicy lime, so 1 lime. Get all the spices into, give them a mix. You can make more if you like, keep for a rainy day or a sunny day. So I have made about double the amount I need. There we go, juice of 1 lime. It's all nicely mixed up. Back in the fridge while we make everything else. The salsa to go with this is called pico de gallo, or the peck, or the beak of the hen. It's really simple, really fresh ingredients. You can make it as hot or as not hot as you like. So what we have here, plum tomatoes, fleshier the better really. And then we have our triumvirate of chili, lime and salt. Now I'm going for a whole Scotch bonnet because I like it hot, but you can adjust it. Put in less, you can always add more. You can't take it out. Now we're gonna have 1 small red onion and some freshly chopped coriander. Or, since we are in Mexico, cilantro. We need to really finely dice our onions. Now they must be really, really small because what we want is we want the lime juice to slightly denature them so they almost cook. And next we get our tomatoes. We want them reasonably small. Now this you will need a sharp knife for. Next we get our chili, I'll give that a quick run over. Finally, a good amount of chopped coriander and the juice of 1 lime. Give it a good old mix. Give it just a pinch of our salt. Cover this, go in the fridge while we get on with the next bit. Now, onto our guacamole. Please, please, please do 2 things for me. Number 1, never buy pre-made guacamole. It's awful. And number 2, don't use a blender or liquidizer for this because you don't want it a puree. You want it to have sort of chunks in it. All you'll need is a fork. So obviously our main ingredient are the avocados. When choosing avocados, they should be sort of firm but slightly soft to the touch. I'm hoping these ones are still okay. It's sometimes a bit of a gamble. You might want to buy them a couple of days beforehand because very often they come pretty raw and they're impossible to mash. We're going to need half a white onion and then our wonderful Mexican triumvirate, which is of course the Mexican flag, the lime, the chili, the salt, and finally a little bit of cilantro. The moment of truth. Take your avocado, split it down until you can feel stone in the middle and then just pull the knife around. You should just be able to twist it off like that. Brilliant. Then to remove the pip, be careful with this, but it does work. There you go. Once we have that, a spoon, all of the avocado in. And you see I've got a little bit overripe here, so I won't put that bit in. But the rest of it is fine. Now, avocado will go brown very quickly if we don't get some lime in there. So, half a lime, just squeeze it over. And then we're going to mash it with a fork. We don't want it pureed. We want a few chunks in there. So now to our bowl we add very finely diced chili. I've just done half a chili here actually with no seeds because you don't want this bit too hot. And then some very finely diced white onion. Just a pinch of salt and a pinch of coriander. Give it a good stir. And that is beautifully, freshly homemade guacamole. This can also go in the fridge until we're ready. And now for our last bit of prep. It's our refried beans. Now, refried beans doesn't mean you fry them twice. The re, or the re at the beginning, is frijoles refritos. Re means extra or well done, so they're really well fried or well cooked beans. Normally, refried beans are made with pinto beans, but Clifton does not have pinto beans in any form. So, I'm using black beans, which will work just as well. They won't be quite as squidgy, but they'd be very nice. So I've got 1 tin of black beans. I've got 1 onion. I've got the juice reserved, or the water that the black beans were in. I have here some bacon fat, so I've just been trimming the rind off my bacon for my bacon sandwiches for a couple of days. You can leave it out if you want to keep this vegetarian, but then don't do the chicken. Anyway, you can leave this out, but I think it adds an extra taste. We also have garlic, a teaspoon of cumin, obligatory chili, lime and salt, and a little bit of coriander for the end. Now onto a medium-high heat, we add just a tiny bit of oil and we add our bacon fat. We're going to want to heat this up for a minute until the fat starts to render. We want to turn it down now, gently melt the fat, and then we can remove some of the bigger bits once we've got some more oil in there. Now we can see a lot of the fat has come off the bacon. We have a lot more of the fat in there than oil we poured in. So we can remove this. We could spend longer doing it, but it's the flavour we want, and we're going to have a good flavour here. Certainly from the smell coming off this, smells like breakfast. In with our onions. Don't worry if things are sticking to the bottom of the pan. We'll add some liquid later on and we can deglaze it. Now, probably turn those up a little bit to a medium heat so they fry off. Add a pinch of salt. And with the liquid released from the onions, we can already see we can deglaze the pan already. Get all that flavour off the bottom. In with our garlic, our chili, and our cumin. Give it a good stir and cook it off quickly. It doesn't need long, probably about 30 seconds. Now in with our beans. All the time making sure to scrape the bottom of the pan to get all that flavour off. Let's turn them right down. Pop a lid on them. Just for 5 minutes. Now it's been just over 5 minutes and our beans are starting to break down. Now depending on the beans you'll use, depends on how long you need to cook them for. These black beans need a little bit longer. Now it's been another 3 minutes. Let's see how they're looking. Absolutely perfect. You see the way they're breaking apart just through the cooking. How mashed you want them? Depends on how mashed you want them, I suppose. I like them quite squidged up. Some people like it more runny, some people like it more solid. As it cools, it will solidify. This is when I'm going to add some of the water that the black beans came in. Waste not, want not. That looks perfect to me. So, to finish off, squeeze a lime, a little bit of coriander. And that is our black beans, black refried beans, done. Now, the final thing we need to do to accompany our chicken is a little bit of onion and pepper. So into nice big chunks. Now I'm preheating my skillet to a high heat. I'm going to add some oil, nice and evenly. Once the oil is nice and hot, let's get our chicken on there. And at the other end, get our veg. Now this shouldn't take too long at all. We want the veg still crispy. Once we've sealed our chicken, we can mix them all together. Now that's been another couple of minutes there, and the chicken is looking nice and browned. Our vegetables have softened, but are still solid. We are ready to go. Oh, you can get that paprika and chili coming off those. Beautiful. Right, let's plate up. Just in case any of you thought that I'd been missing something, what better beer to have and apt than Corona? So as always, lime. I'm not going to put chili in my beer, but cheers. Pa arriba, pa abajo, pa centro y pa dentro. Now as this is going out to our transatlantic friends, so a big hi to the LA posse, so hi to Hottie, Lovely Brit and Dennis the Menace, and to the Chicago crew, to Jen, to Luca, to Grace, and to their wicked daddy Jesse, and also to my lovely, wonderful godmother Mary Elizabeth in Boston. Okay, see you next time. Bye. Mm.